Spirit gave me a message last night and I wanted to pass it along. And it has to do with the parable of heaven and hell with spoons. And some of you may have heard this parable, but how it goes is in hell, people are seated around a table, people starving, famished, and the table is covered with bountiful, delicious, wonderful smelling food. But there's a force field around it, and the only way to access the food is with these long spoons, and the spoons are way too long to be able to feed themselves, and so they just sit there starving, smelling all this delicious food, staring at all this delicious food, but no way to eat it. And in heaven it's the same exact situation, except they feed each other with the spoons. And I realize that this is a parable for our life here on earth at this time. We are surrounded by abundance and beauty and joy and bliss and all the things we could possibly ever hope and dream for. But there are two realities happening here simultaneously. There's a 3D reality and a 5D reality, to use the New Age lingo. We have people who are struggling and fighting and arguing and going against each other, battling each other for the food, for this, with the sense of scarcity, the sense of lack, the sense of always striving to have control and dominance. And the higher reality, the reality that's really going on, is that we can if we simply give each other those things that we desire, if we reach out and share what we have to give, then we too will be fed. And so when people are stuck in their 3D mindsets and triggering you and triggering each other and triggering themselves and living this life, I picture it also like a cloud bank, like a foggy day. So if you are driving along on a really foggy day and there's this bank of fog that you're driving through and you can barely see in front of you. But then if you're climbing a hill, I'm sure we've all had this experience if you've driven in fog before, where if you climb a hill, suddenly everything's clear and you're on top of you're above the fog bank. And so triggering and all these battles and control games is really like being in that fog, being in that density, being in 3D. And I'm hoping that this realization allows me to be less triggered and more compassionate when I notice myself falling into that game, falling into those tendencies of the 3D mindset. And I hope that it helps me move above that, move to where there's clarity, move to where there's sunlight, and be able to just not play into those games, to see that down there people are starving, people are striving for what the only things that they can see, that they can hope for. Whereas if you simply go above that and realize that what do you have to give, what do you have to give? That's another thing that has been popping into my head recently, is rather than looking at each day of what do I hope to gain, but asking Spirit, how could I feed others today? What do I have to give others today? And then trusting, knowing with complete trust and certainty that my needs will be met as well. So I hope this story inspires you a little bit, and have a very blessed day.